Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Bruce Willis wasn't just an actor. He was a superstar. For many years, he played amazing characters who couldn't be stopped and saved the world from bad guys with a confident smile on his face. However, the man who created so many memories for hundreds of millions of people has lost his own memories, and right now he is going through something terrible. So, he is finally saying his goodbyes, and today we'll tell you about his heartbreaking story. In March 2022, Bruce Willis's family shared shocking news. Bruce had been diagnosed with aphasia, a brain condition that makes it hard to communicate. He tries to speak, but the words won't come out. He knows what he wants to say, but it's stuck inside his mind. Then it got worse. By February 2023, the family shared the full truth about what was wrong with Bruce. He had frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. So, it wasn't just words he was losing. Bruce was losing himself completely, and the painful part is there's no cure, no way to slow it down. His family had to watch him just get worse. And it's more terrible than this. You'll see what we mean soon. On December 5th, 2024, Demi Moore, Bruce's ex-wife, shared something that was supposed to make family, friends, and fans feel calm. She said Bruce was in a stable place, but that didn't exactly make people feel calm. Because does that mean that there were times when Bruce was acting wild and out of control? What did she really mean? Turns out that at that point Bruce could no longer speak in complete sentences, could barely read, and reports say he can't even walk or do anything that takes physical effort. Imagine that. The man who once did his own dangerous stunts now has trouble with basic movement, and his family and friends have to watch it all get worse each day. His wife, Emma Heming Willis, said watching his language change was terrifying. And here is the scary part. She noticed when it started, Bruce had a childhood stutter. So when his speech pattern started changing, she thought it was just that. She thought it was the old stutter coming back. How wrong she was. If she had known something was wrong, would Bruce be in a better place with his health? Or would he still be getting worse no matter what? Emma then shared a shocking detail that felt like a punch to the gut. Bruce may not even know what is going on with his health. Think about that for a second. Bruce could be in a state of knowing and not knowing what's happening to him, despite how hard it was for her to watch. Emma is choosing to help Bruce find some happiness and warmth in these dark days. She is showing that her love wasn't just only for the good days. Well, until this next part happened. Emma is 46 years old and she married Bruce in 2009. Together, they have two daughters, Mabel, 12, and Evelyn, 10. So, imagine the pain going through her heart as she did this next thing to their father. In August 2025, Emma made a decision that would start arguments across the internet. She moved Bruce into a second home with full-time caregivers watching him all day and night. Then came the whispers and questions. Has Emma quietly abandoned Bruce? Emma said that this would be what Bruce would want. She said Bruce would want his daughters to be in a house that was more made for their needs, not his needs. Would Bruce really want this? There is a chance that he might not even know what's going on at all. Emma is stuck between helping her husband find comfort in this dark time and also being a mother who looks after what's best for her daughters. Has she made the right decision? At this point, Emma is not just Bruce's wife. She's his care partner. At least that is how she describes herself, and she is torn apart. She is watching her daughters grieve their father while he's still alive. Did she move him away because she didn't want them to be in pain anymore? She shared that her daughters miss Bruce so much as he is missing important moments in their lives. Bruce no longer remembers birthdays. School plays mean nothing to him now, and he can't even connect emotionally with his daughters. That's harder than we can imagine. And the sad part is, Emma is worried that her daughters may not even recover from seeing their fun and energetic dad fade away. Could this have lifelong effects on her daughters? How is Emma supposed to hold it all together? This is extremely hard. But does this mean she is taking an easier path by moving Bruce away? On July 26, 2025, Emma had enough of the rumors. She asked people not to listen to unknown people guessing because it is careless and would hurt her family. The truth is way more complicated than a simple abandonment story. What that family is going through is a lot. Bruce's older daughter, Tallulah Willis, from his marriage with Demi Moore, opened up about her own experience watching her father change. What she said shocked everyone. Tallulah knew something was wrong, but instead of thinking it was a medical condition, she thought something else. When she tried to talk to Bruce before the diagnosis, she got no response from him. So she thought her dad lost interest in her and didn't love her anymore. She didn't know it was the disease. Did she regret the conclusion she jumped to? Tallulah would later appear on TV talking about the importance of speaking out. Whatever she feels, Tallulah is now around more than ever, and she isn't the only one. Even her mother, Demi, Bruce's ex-wife stays deeply involved. She's at family gatherings. She posts photos on social media showing the family together. On Bruce's 70th birthday, the entire family got together to celebrate. So was Bruce really that abandoned? What do you think? It wasn't only Bruce's family that noticed something was wrong. In the years before Bruce's diagnosis, between 2018 and 2022, he appeared in 22 films in 4 years. Most of these weren't big expensive blockbusters. They were low-budget, straight-to-video movies where Bruce's name alone could sell the film. He was reportedly making $2 million for just 2 days of work on some projects. He was overworked, and people on the sets he worked on noticed something. They saw that something was wrong. In January 2020, on the set of Hard Kill in Cincinnati, actress Lala Kent was filming a tense scene where she played Bruce's daughter. The scene called for Bruce to come up from behind and save her from danger. He was supposed to say a specific line. Kent would duck, and then Bruce would fire a prop gun at the bad guy. The first take, Bruce fired the gun at the wrong time. Kent's back was to him, so she didn't realize what happened. No big deal. Let's try again, the crew said. What if someone had gotten hurt? They did the second take, and it was the same thing. Bruce fired early again. A crew member later told reporters that they always made sure no one was in the line of fire when he was handling guns. Was this enough safety? Think about that. This was after Rust, after everything we learned about prop gun safety, and Bruce Willis, the man who built his entire career on action scenes, could no longer be trusted with a prop weapon. It wasn't just about the props. Bruce didn't understand what his lines meant. One crew member said they weren't annoyed by what was happening to Bruce, but they had to think of ways to not make him look bad. They found a way. Bruce was just being puppeted, the crew member said. Look at that word, puppeted. That's the word they used. Bruce Willis, the action hero, was turned into a puppet. Yet, the puppet show kept going. In September 2020, Bruce was filming Midnight in the Switchgrass with director Randall Emmett. There was a scene where Bruce needed to kick open a door. Simple, right? Bruce Willis had kicked down hundreds of doors in his career. Except this time, he couldn't do it. Take after take after take. He couldn't understand what was being asked of him. Several crew members who were there told the LA Times that Bruce needed to have his lines fed through an earpiece because he could no longer remember them. A stunt coordinator tried to guide him. Emmett, the director, tried to physically show what Bruce needed to do. Nothing worked. Emmett reportedly left the set in frustration and Bruce just stood there lost. Later, Emmett called his then-fiancée, reality star Lala Kent, reportedly in tears to talk about how Bruce can't remember any of his lines and doesn't know where he is. It gets darker and you'll see what we mean. Alicia Horn, a prop master on the film, told reporters that Bruce's health struggles were an open secret on set. Everyone knew, but the cameras kept rolling. Even when this next part happened, director Mike Burns worked with Bruce on the 2021 film Out of Death. Before Bruce even arrived on set, Burns sent an urgent email to his screenwriter. The content of the email said he wanted Bruce to have fewer speaking parts. Period. After the first day of filming, Burns realized there was a bigger problem. Still, no one did anything. They just kept putting Bruce into films. Jesse V. Johnson, who directed White Elephant in April 2021, remembered meeting Bruce before filming. Johnson had worked with Bruce decades earlier as a stuntman, but this time was different. Jesse shared that this Bruce wasn't the same man he had worked with. The production supervisor, Terry Martin, said Bruce would tell them he would do his best while looking so lost. Bruce always gave his all, but the most chilling detail was 2 crew members on White Elephant remembered Bruce asking on set, "I know why you're here, and I know why you're here, but why am I here?" The man didn't even know why he was on set. Was he being taken advantage of? The entertainment industry is harsh. Studies show that people working in entertainment are approximately 3 times more likely to struggle with mental health challenges compared to regular people. Actors had money problems, worked at weird hours, and their work isn't permanent either. All of these things all add up to making actors depressed. But there's something even more evil at play here. Bruce Willis was a moneymaker. His name alone could turn a $2 million budget film into a profitable project. Directors knew he was struggling to perform. Crew members knew, producers knew, and they kept casting him anyway. Even director Emmett, despite knowing Bruce's struggles, kept casting him. Anna Samantha, Emmett's former assistant, revealed that she'd hear Emmett and his business partner say they needed money. They'd discuss making another terrible Bruce Willis movie. Would you look at that? Emmett denied everything, though. He said he never took advantage of Bruce and didn't know he was sick. But Emmett has a reputation of shooting bad films with older action stars. Could he really have been exploiting Bruce? He even said there was no time he cried to Lala to talk about Bruce. Emmett and Bruce have been working together for years. During those times, Emmett claimed Bruce has always seemed lively. He enjoyed being on set, playing golf, going to dinners, and hanging out with the crew. Emmett said if Bruce had not wanted to be on set, he would not have been there. Emmett claimed Bruce is among his closest friends, so he can't do anything against Bruce's interest. So, who is telling the truth, Emmett or his assistant Anna? After Out of Death, director Mike Burns told his friends that he wasn't going to cast Bruce in any of his films again. He even was happy when Bruce said he was taking a time off. What Mike didn't know was that time off was going to be forever. Jesse V. Johnson, after White Elephant, made a similar decision. He said that he felt uncomfortable with how Bruce kept working, but others just kept filming. But here's the thing, why did those close to Bruce allow him to keep working for so long? Why didn't his wife and older daughters stop him? Was it money pressure? Was it Bruce's own desire to keep working? Was it something darker, an industry that would squeeze every last drop of profit from a fading star? Or was it a combination of everything? The stress of working so much can't have been healthy. Now, we are not saying Hollywood directly caused Bruce Willis's condition. That's not how FTD works. About 40% of cases run in families, but 60% appear randomly. But constant stress and overwork can absolutely affect brain health. It wouldn't be the first time working would physically hurt Bruce. His wife spoke about how Bruce had long lived with a lasting condition that came from his work on Die Hard. The loud explosions used in the film caused Bruce some problems. Think about Bruce's career. 4 decades of action films, explosions, stunts, the physical and mental toll of maintaining that intensity year after year. He loved his job and loved to work, colleagues said. But at what cost? Research shows that constant stress can speed up mental decline. The constant pressure to perform, the exhausting schedules, the physical demands, all of it builds up over time. And when you're Bruce Willis, you don't get to quit early. You're the brand. You're the product. You're the reason the film gets made. Until one day, you're standing on a film set asking, why am I here? But here is the thing about Bruce Willis. Even as his brain was getting worse, even as he couldn't remember lines or understand why he was there, the moment the camera turned on, he was still Bruce Willis, the professional legend, the guy who could flip a switch and become the hero we all needed him to be. But the cameras eventually stopped rolling, and when they did, Bruce was left with a disease that has no cure, no treatment, no hope of getting better. The disease is less common than Alzheimer's disease, so there's less research on it. However, there's a tiny bit of hope. In March 2023, researchers at the University of Sheffield published groundbreaking research in Science Translational Medicine about a potential nasal spray treatment for some forms of FTD. While this is a breakthrough, unfortunately it can't help Bruce. The treatment is years away from human trials, but it exists. And if Bruce's daughters carry the gene mutation that caused the disease, this research could potentially prevent them from experiencing what their father is going through. As of the moment this video was made, Bruce Willis is 70 years old. His condition is described as stable, which means it's not getting rapidly worse, but it's not getting better either. He's somewhere in that terrible middle ground where the disease has taken so much, but hasn't taken everything yet. Emma continues to be his primary caregiver, or as she prefers, his care partner. Mabel and Evelyn visit their father regularly at his second home. Demi Moore remains an active presence in Bruce's life, along with his 3 older daughters, Ruma, Scout, and Tallulah. They're all still there, despite the pain, the grief, and the impossible horror of watching the man they love slowly disappear. Because here's the truth that gets lost in all the headlines and guessing. This isn't a story about abandonment. This is a story about a family doing their absolute best in an impossible situation. This is a story about a wife who had to choose between keeping her daughters in a home designed for their father's medical needs or giving them a childhood that isn't defined by hospital, equipment, and caregiver schedules. This is a story about daughters grieving a father who's still technically alive, but no longer recognizes them the way he used to. This is a story about an ex-wife who could have walked away years ago, but instead shows up for family dinners and birthday parties because that's what Bruce would have wanted. And it's a story about Bruce Willis himself, a man who spent his entire career making us believe in heroes, now teaching us something far more important. Love doesn't end when the person you love changes beyond recognition. It is also a story of his death. When he was diagnosed, the countdown to his death began, and it could be any time from now. Are we all ready? Bruce Willis is saying goodbye. Not all at once. Not dramatically like in one of his movies where he goes out in a blaze of glory. No, this goodbye is slow, painful, and piece by piece. His voice went first, then his understanding, his ability to move freely, and eventually his awareness of who he is. But what can we do as fans? We can learn from this. We can push for more research into frontotemporal dementia. We can support organizations like the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration. We can have honest conversations about brain health and the warning signs we too often ignore. And maybe, just maybe, we can demand better from Hollywood, better protections for actors, better honesty about health issues on set, and better ethical standards for when a performer is clearly struggling. Because Bruce Willis isn't the first actor to face dementia, and he won't be the last. Rita Hayworth, Robin Williams, Charlton Heston, and Wendy Williams. The list goes on. These aren't just celebrities. They're human beings who gave us joy, laughter, excitement, and inspiration. And when their brains start to fail them, they deserve more than being puppeted through one last paycheck. They deserve dignity, rest, and goodbyes on their own terms. Bruce Willis gave us decades of entertainment. Now it's our turn to give back by raising awareness, supporting research, and never forgetting that behind every headline is a real person, a real family, and a real tragedy that deserves our compassion. Rest well, John McClane. You earned it.